What's going on, gamers? It's your boy DiggsGaming. Welcome back to Off Hunting's Gaming News. I'm here by myself, but that's okay. I've got a lot of gaming news to talk about, and I'm going to start with some Nintendo news. So Nintendo just released some numbers. The Nintendo Switch has sold over 103 million units. That is a lot. It has outsold the Wii at this point right now. And that's saying something because the Wii was extremely successful for Nintendo when that came out. So yeah, Nintendo Switch, it's been on the market for a while, and the fact that it's already reached 103 million units sold does not surprise me. Just about everybody and their mother has a Nintendo Switch. It's absolutely incredible just how well this console is done. And its life cycle is not even close to being done. And that's according to the president of Nintendo. He has said that the console is in the middle of its life cycle. Now, that is scary when you think about it, because it doesn't even look like they're even close to being done with the Nintendo Switch. Moving on to Microsoft, the Microsoft Activision acquisition is being reviewed by the FTC. That's a Federal Trade Commission. Now, to those of you that are alarmed, don't be. This is a routine review that the Federal Trade Commission has to do, because we're talking a $68 billion acquisition. I would not worry whatsoever. This deal should still go through. It's just being reviewed because it has to be reviewed. This is just them going through the motions, making sure everything checks out, and everything should check out. So I would not worry until there is something to worry about with this deal. Microsoft should still be able to purchase Activision without a hitch. So don't be concerned about this. This is just a routine. Moving on to Sony, they have released a financial report for Q3 of the 2021 fiscal year. So we saw Microsoft release their numbers from their previous quarter. Now Sony gets to release theirs. The PS5 has sold over 17 million units. Now that's more than the Xbox Series XS, which is sold, I believe it's 12 million. So they're outselling Xbox. There's just one problem. They're behind on PS4 because they can't get these consoles out. The demand is still high, but they just cannot reach that demand. And it's not going to get easier anytime soon, because the whole thing with them is the chip shortage, and that chip shortage is still going on. We have no idea when they're going to be able to catch up with the demand. And hopefully it's sooner rather than later, but it's not looking good on that front. And they also said that 48 million subscribers on PS Plus. And another thing that we learned is Sony wants to release 10 live service games by 2026. And when I heard this, I thought, wait a minute, isn't that a lot? But then I realized something. A live service game, there's a kind of a gray area with that. So it's not necessarily like a Destiny type thing. It could be anything that could be considered a live service game. And we know that they have a lot of these in development, because you have Naughty Dog with making Fractions 2, you have Insomniac's making one, Fire Sprite's making one, Studio London's making one, Deviation's making one. So that number does seem about right. There's a lot of PlayStation studios that are making multiplayer type games, and that's probably what they mean by live service. It does seem like a lot, but let's not forget, Sony has had a problem with multiplayer games for a while now. And I'll get more onto that later. So I'm not shocked they're basically going all in with this, that they want to make sure that they have a quality multiplayer games along with their single player games. That's not going to affect their single player games, because they know what they made their name with. They know what they're great at, and it's not going to affect that anytime soon. And you can say, well, 10 live service games, that's taking time out of development. That's why they're expanding the studios. That's why they wanted to expand their studios. That way they could do that and still have great single player games. That's why they're doing that. Doesn't really shock me that they're doing this, and that's just how the market's going. So we'll see what happens when some of these games start to release. We'll see how it goes with them. Moving on to some news about some games, starting with Ghostwire Tokyo. We have a confirmed release date for Ghostwire Tokyo. It is coming out March 25th. And I was watching the showcase of Ghostwire Tokyo, and yeah, I'm interested in this game. I might pick it up. And the reason, this game looks really, really good. I am so interested with how the story is, with all the residents of Tokyo disappearing except for one guy, and it looks like he's been taken over by a spirit. That sounds absolutely amazing. And all the things that you can do in the game. I mean, you can control, I believe it was air, water, fire. You can manipulate those. You can use charms. You can do a whole lot of things in this game. It's not your typical first player game, which I absolutely love about this. And story sounds really interesting. Enemies look really scary. And Tango Games, they look like they did a great job with this game. Now, keep in mind, this is a timed exclusive for the PS5. This is being published by Bethesda. So technically, this is an Xbox game that's going to be exclusive to the PlayStation at launch. Yeah. So that's rather interesting. We saw that with Deathloop. Now we're seeing it with Ghostwire Tokyo. And this may be one of the last Bethesda games to come to the PlayStation. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. If it's half as good as Deathloop, then I think we'll be in good shape. Moving on to some delays. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed till 2023, and the Evil Dead game has been moved from February to May. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, yeah, we kind of figured it was either that or Gotham Knights was going to be delayed till next year. And I could say this all but confirms that Gotham Knights is going to be out 2022, but we're not entirely sure. Meliodas thinks that Gotham Knights is going to be delayed again, and I could see that. But the fact is, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, this is Rocksteady's latest game. And if it needs more time, it needs more time. You can't rush this, especially with a game like this, where you're going to be probably be able to control multiple characters, where looks like it's going to be a big game, and it looks like it's going to be a really stunning game to look at. So I'm not shocked that it needs more time. And the Evil Dead game, I think this is more of getting it out of February and making sure it has more time for polish than anything else, because it's only being delayed by a few months. It's only being delayed by 3 months. That's it. And with that, it just means that it needs a little more time to be polished. And like I said, February was already a loaded month. We've already seen Sifu and Dying Light 2 Stay Human be released. And then later on, we had the new expansion to Destiny 2. We have Horizon Forbidden West. And of course, we have Elden Ring. So it was already a loaded month. So that's what it was going up against. Got moved to May, where it doesn't have to face as much competition as it would have if it stayed in February. So I think this is a good thing for Evil Dead. Make sure that it's still polished and gets it out of the crowded month that was February. So not shocked by this. Gran Turismo 7 had a state of play. Remember, that is being released March 4th. And people were questioning, why the heck was Gran Turismo 7 getting a dedicated state of play? My response, why wouldn't it get a dedicated state of play? Because this game, or this franchise, is Sony's longest running one. Gran Turismo has been there since the very beginning for Sony, since they got into the console race. So I'm not shocked that it got a state of play, and the game looks absolutely gorgeous. We were wondering how they were going to answer Forza Horizon 5, and it looks like they're answering them very well. I mean, they basically showed off everything that you're going to be able to do in this game. I mean, you're going to have a lot of cars to go through. There's actually a museum in there where you can learn about the history of some cars, and that's absolutely amazing. If you're a car enthusiast, you definitely want to get this game. That's what I would say on this. This game, it looks like it's going to take Gran Turismo to an even higher level than it was before, which is something that Gran Turismo really does need. I mean, Gran Turismo hasn't had a new game since Gran Turismo Sport on the PlayStation 4. That was the only PlayStation 4 game. So Gran Turismo 7, if it's 3/4 as good as Forza Horizon 5, which was one of the highest rated games, actually it might have been the highest rated game of 2021, then Sony did a great job with this. And it looks like that's what we're getting. And I think I will be picking up this game. I'm not going to pick it up day one, but I definitely will be picking up this game at some point. Some more gaming news. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is planned to be revealed this year. A producer at Square Enix confirmed. So looks like we're going to get a good look at that. It's interesting because you have Forspoken that's coming out in May. You still have Final Fantasy 16 that doesn't have a release date. And we know it's been pushed back 6 months because there was supposed to be more shown off on the game in 2021. That didn't happen. It got pushed back till this year. So we'll see when we see Final Fantasy 16 again. So it's going to be interesting to see when they do reveal Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. And it's supposed to be this year. So Yeah, that sounds really good. And we'll see if that actually does happen. I'm a little skeptical, but if that does happen, I'm all for it. MLB The Show 22 is coming to Game Pass day one again. And for the first time, it's coming to Nintendo Switch. Now, okay, I know this is a Sony first party title. It's made by San Diego Studio. But the new deal that Sony made with the MLB came with the fact that it had to come to Xbox, and now it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. And this is a good thing for PlayStation because you get more people playing this game, which is going to put more money in Sony's pocket. Remember, this is the only baseball game out there, and there are still diehard fans of the MLB that want a baseball game. It's that simple. It's like Madden, but the show is a better video game franchise. I think that's been proven. So again, I just don't have a problem with this. If more people can play the game, that's better for Sony. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right, let's move on to Rockstar. Rockstar has given a release date for the next gen version of Grand Theft Auto 5, which is going to be coming March 14th. Okay, that's great. But what else? They confirmed that they are working on the next game in the Grand Theft Auto series. And gamers absolutely lost their mind. Now, we knew this was pretty much an open secret. We saw the rumors, and everybody knew they were pretty much going to be working on it, but they officially confirmed it. They said they were working on it for a while, and that is absolutely amazing to hear from Rockstar. People have been groaning because they keep releasing Grand Theft Auto 5, even though it came out during the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era. We went an entire gaming generation without a new Grand Theft Auto title, which was not something that gamers liked at all. And now that we're getting a new game, or a new game is in the works, we don't know when it's going to be revealed. Hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. That put a smile on gamers' faces, and they cannot wait to get their hands on it. Now, Rockstar has been in a little bit of hot water because of some of the practices that they have done. But the fact that they have confirmed they're working on the latest Grand Theft Auto, that is really good. And hopefully it's just as good as the other entries in the franchise. Okay, and our last bit of gaming news, just when we thought the purchases couldn't get any stranger, Sony has bought Bungie. Let me say that again. Sony has bought Bungie, the gaming company that made the original Halo games. Keep this in mind. This is the company that put Xbox on the map with the Halo series. And Sony now owns them. They bought them for $3.6 billion. Now, here's something that's interesting. $1.2 billion of that is going towards a retention incentive plan to keep employees around after the purchase goes through, which makes a whole lot of sense for Sony because they value talent and they do not want to lose any of the talent over at Bungie. Now, to anybody that's thinking, oh, Destiny's about to become an exclusive, no, it's not. Bungie and Sony confirmed that they are going to stay multi-platform. They're going to stay an independent company. And people are wondering, well, why would you buy Bungie for $3.6 billion if you weren't going to make them exclusive? And that's where the 10 live service games come into play. Because Sony can now learn from the team that's making one of the best live service games out there in Destiny 2. Sony can learn from them. They can give Sony feedback, and that'll just make their games even better. Yeah, it's a little crazy, but as people have been saying, all the usual suspects were taken for Sony with their acquisition. And now Sony has bought Bungie, which Sony and Bungie has had a good relationship since Bungie left Xbox. So since Bungie left Xbox, those two have had a really good relationship. So this does not shock me one bit when you're really thinking about it, but it's still weird the fact that the company that made the original Halo titles is now under Sony. It's just crazy. And I just could not believe it when I heard it. I did not think this was going to happen, but this is good for Sony and it's good for gamers because their titles are still going to be multi-platform. Sony's not going to make them exclusive. And really, this is good PR for Sony because of the fact that right after the purchase, they are transparent and they say they are not going to be exclusive to Sony or exclusive to PlayStation. They will still be multi-platform. And again, that's just good PR. That's exactly what you want to hear, as opposed to Xbox that is being very hush hush about what games from Bethesda and Activision are going to be multi-platform, if any of them are going to be, and what games are going to be exclusive. I mean, they've been a little hush hush about that. So this was a little crazy, but in the end, I do kind of get it. I do. And Sony is not done with acquisitions, because Jim Ryan confirmed that they are looking to purchase more developers, which doesn't really shock me. I mean, this is the trend that we're seeing. We're going to see Microsoft do the same thing. And it's just going to be interesting to see who gets bought next. I mean, we've heard Ubisoft, we've heard Square Enix, we've heard Capcom. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few months. And there are teases that we could see something very, very soon. So Microsoft and Sony, they are not done buying. And I know it's scary for a lot of people, but this is the trend that we're going towards. And hopefully it doesn't lead to worse games, which, God, I hope that doesn't happen. All right, guys, that was the gaming news from this week. I'm your boy DiggsGaming, and I will see you guys next time.